Open to your table of contents and copy down today's entry. It's going to be on the next odd page. And the title is Squares and Square Roots. Squares and Square Roots. You can pause now if you need a little more time to copy. Squares and Square Roots. And then go ahead and turn to that next odd page in your notebook. For me, that's going to be page 13. Ooh, let's see, there we go. Go ahead and copy down the title, Squares and Square Roots, and your essential question. What is the difference between a to the second power, that's a with a little 2 up top, and a times 2? What is the difference between a to the second power and a times 2? All right, I want you to, in the middle of your page, with a different color, or if all you have is one color, then I want you to make it really, really bold. I want you to draw a big A with a little 2 up in the right-hand corner. A big A with a little 2 in the right-hand corner. And then I want you to label them for me. I drew a box around my A, and I drew a box around my 2. That little baby 2 up in the top right corner is called an exponent. An exponent. I want you to write that and then write our definition of an exponent beside it. That is the number of times you multiply the root. It's okay if you don't have a clue what that means. I don't expect you to, but I do want you to have it written down so we can talk about it. The number of times you multiply the root. And A, that big A, that is your root. That's called a root. And a root is a number that you multiply by itself. A number that you multiply by itself. Your exponent is the number of times you're going to multiply the root, and the root is the number that you will be multiplying by itself. Let me show you a couple of examples of how exponents work. 4 to the second power, also we say that's 4 squared. When it's a 2 up here, that's squared. What that really means is your root times your root. I did it 2 times because that's how many times my exponent told me to do it. And the reason I multiplied 4 is because that's what my root was. 4 times 4 I know is 16. So 4 to the second power is 16. 4 squared is 16. The root is 4. The exponent is 2. So since it's 2, that's a special name. It's called squared. And the answer is 16. Let's look at a different one. 6 to the third power. When you have a little 3, that has a special name too. It's called cubed. If you think about 3-dimensional, 3 dimensions, they have 3 dimensions. You're doing it 3 times. Okay? So 6 to the third power, my root is 6, and that's what I need to multiply, and I need to do it 3 times. 6 times 6 times 6. Well, I know that 6 times 6 is 36. So to figure out what 6 to the third power is, I'm going to have to multiply that 36 again by 6. So let's go ahead and do that in this space right here. 36 times 6 is 216. 216. 6 to the third power, or 6 cubed, means 6 times 6 times 6, and we get 216. Here's a new funny little symbol for you. This is called a square root symbol. I want you to, again, if you have a different color, use that different color. Otherwise, bold it. It's a 9 with something that looks kind of like a division sign with a tail. It's like a check mark with a top hat or a division sign with a tail. That little symbol is called a square root symbol. And what that means is what root had to be squared to get this number. You see, squares and square roots are inverse operations. That they're opposites, just like multiplication and division are opposites or inverse. Addition and subtraction are inverse. Squares and square roots are also inverse operations. The square root means what root had to be squared to get this number. Let's look at a couple examples and their proof. Okay? So the square root of 16. That means what had to be multiplied by itself to get 16. Because remember, it's the opposite of the square. You're trying to figure out what the root is. So something to the second power equals 16. I'm trying to figure out what that something is. Well, I know that 4 times 4 is 16. So that means that 4 to the second power is 16. Which makes the square root of 16 4. Let's look at another one, the square root of 9. Something squared equals 9. What is that something? Well, I know that 3 times 3 equals 9. So 3 to the second power equals 9. The square root of 9 is 3. I want you to try this last one on your own. See what you can come up with before class. Thank you for doing your homework tonight, and we'll see you in class tomorrow.